talk about the real journeys, the struggles, the breakthroughs, and the lessons that built great ventures. They say behind every successful woman is herself, and sometimes a great book telling her story. The debut author of Nari Biz, a book that shines a light on the challenges and triumph of women entrepreneurs in India.
She is here to make sure those stories are heard loud and clear, and not just during Women's Day. Her work reminds us that women-led businesses don't just survive, they thrive, inspire, and lead. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Rati Pula.
Joining her is an award-winning journalist, senior editor, and brand advisor. With decades of experience, she knows exactly how to turn a story into a movement. She knows how to find a story where most of us just see a boring press release. If storytelling were a sport, she had a gold medal already, and probably an editorial column about how to win one. Please welcome Vanaja Banagiri.
Some people read the news, some people make the news, and rounding out to this powerhouse panel is someone who decides how the news should be told. Senior feature editor at the Times of India with a decade of experience in crafting impactful corporate and social stories. She is the reason some of your favorite Sunday reads are so addictive. You know, the ones you accidentally finish before your coffee gets cold.
Please welcome Deepal Gala. Together they bring you her story, our lessons.
I'm sure I'm audible right till the end. Yes? Thank you. So we thought we'd make this a little different. We'd speak, of course, as a panel, but we'd love for all of you to engage while the panel is on also and afterwards. If you'd like to have some questions, these are really more like life lessons and business lessons, which we will all share from our experiences. And so I'm sure all of you will have something which resonates and you would love to join the conversation. We would love to hear your points of view also. Right, so we begin right away, the founders and what got them. Would you like to just say a couple of sentences about yourself and then we dive into the panel right away. Vanaja.
Hi guys, how are you today? Can you hear me?
Actually, I don't think they can hear you. Let me say this right. Meanwhile,
Hey, good to see all of you here. It's so wonderful. Nice, bright, young faces. Feels like going back 25 years, so you can guess my age. Besides whatever the introduction that was given by the anchor, my main identity is that of an author now. I have published 6 books, out of which 3 are business books and 3 are fiction. That's what I've been doing. And I also run a marketing communications company, so I'm an entrepreneur myself as well. What I've seen over a period of time, maybe after Rati finishes her intro, I will take it over again.
hello. Audible? Yeah. Thank you. So, this is a very, very special project which I did called Nari Biz. I'm a debut author, not as 6 books, but I will be there soon, I'm sure. But taking it short, I think I have a full-time job, and with that, I have a toddler at home. But with all of this, I had a dream to be an author one day. And the best topic to write would be something that you go and do every day, that is being an entrepreneur from home to office. I mean, we all are doing something new every day. So, and women entrepreneurs have been really close to me. So it would be the best thing to do to start my entrepreneur journey as an author. Yeah, so that's about me.
Yeah, so I also have written about 6 books on entrepreneurship for the Times of India. and of course, also quite a few for the Economic Times, and Vanaja also has written for the Economic Times. So we have really a lot of years on this panel. Let us dive right into it. Tell me, Vanaja, when you meet founders, this is about founders, how did they get where they got? What do you think are the biggest myths people have about people who run successful businesses? Because not everyone will step out and tell you all that they did to get there. But people have an opinion. This person is somehow special and they got there. When you have met so many hundreds or maybe more of founders, what in your heart did you feel were the biggest myths separating the real life of a founder and what people think founders are like?
I think one of the key points that I have seen in the journeys of various entrepreneurs is when the time comes to make a choice to pick a career, they don't ask themselves, where do I find a job? They ask themselves, how do I build one? That is the key difference between somebody who looks for a job and somebody who looks to build an enterprise on their own. And I think I'll deviate a little bit and speak about Hyderabad and the advantages. What is very interesting is that we are a 434-year-old city, the capital of the youngest state in India, which is 11 years old, speaking the official language of Telugu, which is 4,500 years old. And we are the 14th fastest growing city in the world. So that somehow gives, and also it is the north of South India and the south of North India, this geographical advantage. The ecosystem is fantastic. We have co-working spaces, we have accelerators, we have incubators. In fact, we are sitting in one right now. And thanks to T-Hub, we are able to interact with all of you as well. And a body of mentors, which makes Hyderabad a very fertile ground for anybody, any of you who is interested to start an enterprise or probably are already running one. That is what I think is the key difference. Where do I find a job is not the question they think about. How do I build one? And how do I create jobs is what they think mainly.
Yeah, so well said. So, Rati, you are actually from the space where young professionals decide to take a pivot and try out, working on their own startup or working with someone in a startup. You tell me today, when youngsters think of doing this pivot, what is weighing on their mind? Is it weighing that will I succeed or not? Will I, get the support from everyone if it takes longer than what I think for me to, break even? What are the thoughts?
Yeah, so young people, okay, so that's a very, very interesting topic to talk about. If I'll take a step back, I'll go back 15 years back, okay? The ecosystem that we were in was very different from what it is now. The ecosystem 15 years back was, are you a doctor or an engineer, okay? And today, we don't really ask that question. The question we ask a kid or a young professional going out of college or maybe wanting to do something is, what do you want to become? So that's the kind of progress we have made from the thought process and the ecosystem change. Now, the person themselves decides what they want to do. So there's no pressure at all. So the pressure goes away. So the first question of pressure is no more, because 15 or 20 years back, it was the pressure that I need to show my parents that I want to become a doctor or an engineer. But today, I know what I want to do. Even if I fail, I know it was my decision I took. And if I progress, if I do well, then I know I did it right. So you would never blame an XYZ person for what you are today. And I think I would believe I did the same thing. I wanted to do what I wanted to do, even if I had no support, even if I had a fear I might not progress, even if I thought that people might not read my book. I mean, just to take that sense. People might not read my book. But I wanted to do it. So do what you love doing, because if you like and love doing what you want to, you will progress. Because if you are a winner in your own eyes, then you are a winner. I mean, that's what I feel. Do whatever you feel like doing, and ultimately you become the winner in what you do.
So as this panel is about founders and what got them to become the people they were, I would like to ask you, Anuja, what kind of things do you think help them to identify opportunity? Like in the books I've written, among the things, nobody would believe this, but among the things was like sheer frustration, or it was a promise made to their mom, or things which you would not in a B school hear as a reason to start a business, okay? So that was a revelation for me, that so many of the things that we assume are the ways people start businesses are not necessarily the ways people start businesses in India. And these are among the best business people in Hyderabad. So what is your experience about, how did they identify the opportunity and then how did they go ahead with that, you think?
See, like Narayan Murthy said, you have a mind and you have a mindset. So I think the mindset is what it's completely, that defines the success of an entrepreneur. Because unless you have resilience and unless you have the willingness to fall and get up a million times and not call it quits, you're not going to make it. So 2 decades ago, we had just, Hyderabad was known as the IT hub, and there were, thanks to the investment made by the government in infrastructure and education. But today we have solopreneurs, you have ecopreneurs, you have sustainability champions, and you have the works. So if you go back 2 decades ago, and I was just about covering the enterprise landscape of the city, the people were very, very different. It was do or die. We have some of the best pharmaceutical giants from here. And we have the best hospitals.
Yeah.
We've had Bharat Biotech, which is the biggest vaccine maker.
Yes.
So Hyderabad is, I'm constantly bringing the focus back to Hyderabad because I am
in
a
Hyderabad.
proud
We are all
Hyderabadi.
in Hyderabad and we are proud Hyderabadis, of course. Yes.
So I find the brand authenticity very, very high. And if the future is about building organizations that have a conscience and that have a meaning, then I think Hyderabad is ahead of the curve. I don't know if I answered your question.
No, you did. You did to some extent. Then you added your own things, which, of course, I expect you to. Because identifying opportunities, when people say, okay, I want to do a business, and they are thinking, a lot of the B school grads will go and look at the reports made by a lot of the big four and then see where the gaps. And if you go back and see the top 500 business today, 20, 25-year-old more, they didn't have any such thing with them. So much of it was intuition or circumstances. So that's what I'm saying, that, what I love about entrepreneurship is that even I, after doing so much research, I'm constantly breaking myths in my head. That almost everything that is said about entrepreneurship, other than the sheer will and the passion to just
the
go
resilience.
ahead. Resilience through all the highs and lows. Yeah, a lot of things can be yes and no at the same time. The opposite also can be true. Would you like to say something, Rati, especially because you wrote about women entrepreneurs? Would you like to talk a little bit about what are the resistances they faced, if at all they did? Are we still living in a world where people are like, oh my God, you're running a business, that kind of thing? Or is it like normalized now?
Percentage of it is normalized, but India being India, there is still some part of it which still has to evolve, okay? The kind of women that I've spoken to while I wrote my book. So I'll take a very classic example here. I interviewed close to 30 to 35 women entrepreneurs who've been ranging from an age of, say, 25 to 50. Okay, so they've been there from their 70s to 90s, okay? So that's the kind of range of women that I'm talking about. The answers that they have varies from each other. So one lady says that my dad didn't send me to the same school that my brother was sent to, right? Because my dad thought, what will you do studying, going to a Doon school or maybe going to a A-grade school in the country? What would you do doing that? At the end, you need to go marry and then go back to a family, and they would decide what you need to do. There was one young girl that I spoke to while I was interviewing, and she said, I decided what I wanted to do, and my parents were quite okay with it. Okay, so that's the kind of mind change, that's the kind of change that people have brought, and I think the generation that have come from 85 to 90, I think from 1985 to 90s is what I'm talking about, that generation has also brought a change in the previous generation, okay? So the previous generation are now okay with a woman going out of home and working because they know that the woman will come back home and take care of the family as well. Because initially it was she might not take care of the family if she's going out, but that's not the case. I think even now the men and the women are equal because they are also taking care of the family. They take care, they go out as well. So this stereotype has broken to an extreme limit, okay? But yes, there are still few blocks which have to be broken, and I think we are there. We are progressing towards there, and we will reach there soon. And in the right way. It's never been on a very negative side of it. On a very positive note, we're moving out there. Women are doing great in their work as well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I remember most of the time I'm at the IIMs and IITs and I go quite a bit for panels. I do meet, I mean, among the top 20, 30, 40 students, there will be a lot women and girls. So that's just so bang on. See, I do want to talk about timing because if you ask business people, they will simply tell you, "But luck hai bhai, kabhi to." And you know, in one of those moments when they're not very they will actually tell you what they think actually could work. Timing could work, luck could work. So Vanuja, see, economic conditions, economic cycles, like we're just having so many nations going through the bulldozer with all the tariffs, as you know. Technological advancements, how important is being in the right place at the right time, you think?
I think that is everything, according to me. So the luck factor or the providence factor, actually this is what they mean. Right place at the right time and doing the right thing. Because when you identify a niche, that is all about the niche of that time, of that era. Like what was the niche 10 years ago is not the niche now. Now you see the sustainability champions are ruling, which you would never have thought earlier.
Yeah.
We only knew one or two, a case of Nirmal who grew from rags to riches by just recycling waste. But now you have so many sustainability champions. You see, that's all about the timing. And of the era, right?
And the sustainability was not considered a business to begin with, yeah, right?
And now doing good, making money has become the motto of several people. In fact, one of the startups of Hyderabad called Kheti, which is a greenhouse in a box.
They won a global
They won
prize.
the Earthshot prize. Yeah, and then now there is Cosmos Green and there is Soul Forest and projects like that coming up which are because it is the right place at the right time in the right era. This
right
10 years
format.
back wouldn't have.
Yes, yeah. How much do you think people research, founders research their audiences, their target, customers before they start a business today? And is it different from what it would have been, say, 20 years ago?
I think the starting point of starting anything is to understand the need of the hour. Okay? Till the time you don't understand the need, you will not understand your target audience. You will not understand the product you want to build. You will not understand how to pitch. You will not understand the next steps of it. The need is important. If there is no need in the market, why would you want to start a business? So that need factor is really important. So just one more real life example. I think there's a woman called Purva Agarwal who started Good Piggy, okay? Yes. She came into Shark Tank as well. The need that she found was to have a financial literacy in kids. which the parents don't really give their kids at a very early age.
Yeah, and they don't think it's required also.
Yeah, it is required because of the easy accessibility of the phone that you have. They think that clicking on one button and the delivery comes home. They don't know there's money involved into it because there's no real money that you can see. It's all virtual money, right? So that need is something that she thought. This was just an example, but any business that you start, I think the need has to be first understood, and then the other things follow as is. It's quite simple to follow. Your target audience, the product, your service, everything else.
That's what I meant by identifying a niche.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
It's kind of built on
Can
it.
we talk a little bit about the work-life sacrifices? Because we talk a lot about work-life balance, but you don't really have work-life balance as an entrepreneur at all, actually. And Jensen Huang recently said, I don't have work-life balance. I only have work-work balance, but I love my work, so it's okay. So
If you love what you're doing, it doesn't feel like work
it
anymore.
doesn't feel like work, yeah. But
Yes, I just
still,
wanna-
personal costs, strained relationships, health impacts, missed opportunities, the need to keep pivoting all the time to keep yourself afloat, these things are real. So when you meet people, do you sense that very strongly? And I don't know how you would be a successful entrepreneur if you weren't fully conscious that your business may need to pivot anytime, So have you had any such moments of startling revelations from people about some of these sides which you never see, which was not talked about at all? You mean the sacrifices? Yeah.
The sacrifices?
Yeah.
Oh, they are plenty. I mean, there is, I don't know, work-life balance. The word itself says that work is outside life. But
which is so not
which
right.
is so not right. The truth is, for them, work is life.
Yeah.
And the entrepreneur, the founders, really are completely into it. Like even if they're having a vacation and they're taking calls and answering emails, and there is no work-life balance, so to speak. Their work is their life.
Yeah, absolutely. Would
Yeah,
you
I
like
just
to
want to
say
add
something?
here.
Yeah.
I think it's a perfect question for me because I have a toddler at home, okay, who is 2.5 years old, and I have like a full-time job, and I still wanted to do this. So I have work, I have life, I have my dream, okay? So it's all, and they're all independent. All three of them don't talk to each other. I mean, my work doesn't understand my daughter doesn't understand my work, my dream. So everything's very confusing, okay? Everything just overlaps every time you see, but I want to do all three of them to my best thing that I can.
Yeah.
So you will eventually know the balance in it. You
Yeah,
will eventually
absolutely.
sail through it.
Yeah.
And I think everybody has their own story. So it's her story, it's his story. Everybody has their own story and they know how to sail beautifully through it.
That's well said. I'd like to ask the audience any questions from your side.
Yeah, please. Maybe if there's a mic
Even
or
if
something.
there's a reflection, if it's not a question, you want to share something or any comments. Because I'm sure you either are an entrepreneur or you know entrepreneurs or you're familiar with the blocks entrepreneurship has. And maybe if you have even thought about it, maybe again you are rethinking about it. So any questions from anyone? Well, how does this happen? You have to raise hand, right? Will you please kindly share the mic?
Good evening. I may be excused, I just came in from the other fifth, you're spoiled for choice. I know I was in another session, I just came, but an interesting observation you made regarding the need. I think in our country, there's a need for financial literacy. In fact, the very example which you gave, sometimes people will never say that we have a need, but we sense there is a strong need for financial literacy. I'm talking about the way the freebies and all, people have got so much used to all these things, they don't realize, they need to realize the importance of the financial status of a particular, or whatever, a community or a state, and you make them sensitize these people. I must take, in US, there's a startup called Intertwined. It's all about financial literacy. started by two youngsters in high school. They have come out with this particular software program, which is very user-friendly, menu-driven, so that idea is to educate from different categories of people, not the high fund of balance sheet and all that. Just it helps the homemaker, the basic level of literacy.
That's so important.
So I'm only saying it made me reflect that yes, the need will nobody will come and ask you, but it's high time that we identify and do something about this. Thank you.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
There is the startup in Bangalore called Pay It Forward, who are only focusing on financial literacy, app-based.
Yeah.
And like you rightly said, this financial literacy has no age bar. It could be for kids, it could be for homemakers, it could be for young professionals who've just got the first salary in their hand and they don't know what to do with it. They don't know savings are a most important part of their life, okay? So there are a lot of these startups in India, like she rightly said, and they're doing great in their work, and I think they will bring a lot of these changes in the coming years where you will see a bit more financial literacy in all age groups of people. Yeah.
Also, I think the awareness of investment, investing money is very high in this generation.
Yeah.
We didn't have it. We were
would
just
agree.
thinking of ways to blow it and where to go and what to shop and what to do. But now they put away 25 to 30% straight into savings.
Savings.
They're
Yeah,
brilliant.
totally. One other shift I have seen when I attend a lot of the hackathons, say in B schools or otherwise in tech schools, is that a lot of the students now, a lot of the, are thinking of ideas which are relevant to India, which is fantastic. We are finally moving out of the Me Too culture, all the time just copying an idea which has worked somewhere else, and finding totally unique ways of resolving problems which are in India, and that is a phenomenal cycle of demand and supply in itself. So I see very clear shifts with this generation. I suppose you'd agree.
Brings to mind that innovation has completely wiped out imitation. People are just thinking of ways and means to be different and unique. Yeah, and there is no longer imitation is the best form of flattery kind of thing is not going on.
Absolutely. And would you want to say something? And I think we'll have to wrap it. Otherwise, any more questions?
Yeah, please ask.
Or just, share
All future
some,
entrepreneurs, businessmen,
anything at
come
all.
on.
Something
Anything you want to know?
Something from your, yes?
There.
It's not a question, but you were talking about reflections from this session, and I was just noticing how in none of the other sessions today would the panelists ask how they balance work and life. This question comes up a lot in women entrepreneur panels, and so
That's nice to know. Thank you for sharing.
Question.
Sure.
That, do you suggest today's women to go for entrepreneurship, or do you suggest go for another domain?
Go for another
Domain
domain.
or sector?
Entrepreneurship or any other domain. What would you suggest is the question.
Entrepreneurship or a job, is it?
Yeah.
I think for any entrepreneur, the initial years put in a job come in very handy. Like if, for instance, you're a chartered accountant, then working in the big five will give you a huge network as well, besides the experience. So a little 4 or 5 years of job would be good before you take the plunge, because then you will also have a little bit of safety net.
Yes, I kind of agree with her because today's business scape is a little different from the past. A firm will give you an edge for sure. For sure. Yeah.
Are you taking up a job or are you starting an enterprise?
Thinking to start one.
Very good. All the best. You should.
Thank you.
Yeah, but don't wait for a time. Yeah, just don't, one thing I keep
Big round of
listening to. We
applause
should give
for
her an applause. You are the, one of the people we are speaking about. We are speaking about founders. So, yeah.
Yeah, we are speaking to a future founder now. Good.
I have something to tell you, Lakshmi. So, Lakshmi, I think,
She wants to say something.
like they rightly said, you need to make your foundation strong, right? And to make the foundation strong, it happens well with either a lot of reading or a lot of people that you've worked with, that is experience. So this will create a foundation for any of your entrepreneur journey. But then don't stop the dream of being an entrepreneur, because that's something that you should hold on to. Because sometimes what happens, people go to a full-time job and then they forget that they had a dream to become an entrepreneur. Yeah. So don't forget that. Hold on to it, keep working on it and building on it and gain experience from the people around you, and then move towards your journey. So you're building your foundation. You're making the building for your entrepreneur office. And then once it's built, you can start your own.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for asking.
I just have one opinion.
Yeah,
I don't know whether it's correct or not, but in India, women still think whether they should be an entrepreneur, but limit themselves to become a billionaire. Like that mindset is still not there, or is it there or not very flourished?
Yeah, that's a very good question, actually. And I'd like to say a little bit, and she's anyway written on women, I'm sure she has a lot to say too. See, I come from a business community. In our communities, we talk about business morning, afternoon, evening. I want to tell you that even in families where women are very highly respected, somehow 20 years ago, 25 years ago, it was not expected of women that they would, be able to or want to even shoot off and do their own thing. And now, increasingly, I see exactly the opposite happening and being respected in most families. It's very refreshing to see that. And it has happened in India without, if you see movements around the world, they've been very strong feminist movements. In India, we have not really had any such very big thing. But families have also has made a difference. And there's a requirement for every human being to have some security. So most parents want their daughters to study and do something good to be secure. So a lot of factors coming together, but I'm at times amazed at how much things have changed. Like even in my tiny village, which is at the border of the Kutch, Pakistan, I see girls coming, young girls coming to school and on their laptops, surfing things for answers for everything. And I'm like, how different is this from Hyderabad or California? So I think the leap is enormous, and that's I don't personally. I'm super happy to see that. Of course, there are solo cases of things going wrong and all that, but I don't. Overwhelmingly, I feel there's a comfort with women moving ahead now, and it was not the case earlier, in businesses especially. Would you like to?
In fact, I completely digressing from the point. There is this lady I met who was in probably her 30s, and she started this about 8 years back. She's from a small village, and her parents are millet farmers. Today she has a company called Millets Bank. Her name is Vishala Uyuru, and she's rocking it. She just started a Dubai enterprise with bootstrapped completely. Now she's raised some investment. So if you really want to take the plunge, it doesn't matter where you are, who you are. It is, like I said, the mindset. The mindset and resilience are what completely define your success. And 70-year-old, what's that pickle story? Grandma's poured something. She started at 60. And she's rocking it. She must be 70 now. She is in the list of billionaires. Yes. There are so many.
There are in India.
Yeah, so if you ask me, I think I would like to say we need to start thinking from that point, okay? The day you feel confident about yourself and you have that zeal in you saying that I can do it, then why not? I think people around you are accepting the fact that women are evolving. They are okay with the fact. I think there's a problem with the mindset of the women themselves, okay? It's the mindset of the woman says, if I go out of home, who will take care of my kid? If I go out of home, who will cook? You will get all the help that you need. You have people all around you to help you. You just have to find that will in you to do it. So where there's a will, there's a way. exactly. That's the kind of saying that we've listened from, I think, from my childhood. So you have to change. And I think the day you start thinking that I can do it, you can definitely do it.
Thank you. Anything else? Yes.
Hi, ma'am. So my name is Chandra.
Hi.
I'm an early stage founder. So I'm building the deep tech, actually, focus on travel and tourism.
Okay.
So I have a question like, I have a bad experience in the last 1 week back. There is a company called, I don't want to sell that. They asked me to, what we call PR things. So would really PR help to the growth startups? I asked him to promote my journey in a startup because I was an early startup. I'm looking for the investment and all these things. They asked me to pay the money. I asked, what I'm saying is, do really PR, what called getting my story into the newspaper and all this thing. They asked me money. They asked me money. So do really PR can reflect our startup story, like journey?
It's a tricky question. There are two journalists sitting here, so. But you see, now, I'm sorry to say that she's still thick into it. There's not much difference between journalism and PR anymore. So there are PR companies who take up your PR, and they in turn get the journalists to cover you, and that kind of exercise is going on. So I don't know what advice I should give him.
But one thing, your experience may be a solo experience with a certain kind of a journalist in a certain kind of media house. I have seen any number of stories of, journey stories of entrepreneurs and business people, but it's also the journalist's prerogative at that point in time to decide who all does she think fits into her story concept at that point in time. But it's not always the case. What you have, it's quite possible it happened, but it's not always the case. That is for sure. Yeah.
I will not get into the journalism part, okay? But I think I just picked up one part of the question that you said. Is PR important for your business, okay? Definitely branding is important for any business, okay? Till the time you don't brand, how will people know that you have a brand existing? It could be a personal brand, it could be your entrepreneur brand, it could be anything. But branding is important. But like I said, I will not get into the journalism or the PR. What source of branding you want to do, that is your bit. But definitely branding is important for any of the work that you choose.
No, and especially travel and tourism. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think you should put aside some money, invest it in brand building and your brand recall. That's very important. Now, where it goes, how it is done, I think
online
immaterial.
or Insta or
Now with this AI coming into the figure, I think the place that you think of, even if you've not maybe just searched in somewhere or maybe you've not really spoken to something about it, it comes in your Instagram feed or it comes in your LinkedIn feed, right? So that kind of branding and all of this is also coming into a picture. I think branding is definitely important.
Yeah, it's very interesting. ChatGPT, you type your name and ask, who's this person? It just brings out everything and you're like, wow, have I really done so much? But yes, what she said is right.
Yeah.
You need to invest in your brand.
It is a thing people experience. And there's no point saying that it is not. Any other questions? Anybody wants to start something?
All the best.
Okay. So then we'll have to call it a wrap. Yeah, with whom? Yeah. How do we do it? Since we are not so many people, all of you could come over the stage. We'll take a picture together if you would like that. Would you like that? Just come over. That's what Vanaja was saying. I think we need to do it one. Otherwise we'll be all...
No, I thought the back row was...
You want to stand here? Yeah, okay. If anybody else would like to come.